Midlife is not a decline, it's a turning point. And I'm going to tell you why. Midlife is a powerful crossroads, and the decisions that you make here will shape the entire next chapter of your life. I know sometimes it can feel like things are falling apart, your energy changes, your body change, your confidence has taken a hit, but here's what no one tells you. You are not broken. You are at a fork in the road, and the difference between managing illness and thriving is not luck or genetics. It's actually a skill and self-awareness. And knowing that you can change your story is the most powerful beginning that you can have. So self-healing and weight loss and all of the thriving that you see people do in midlife is actually a skill set that they have learned. And I'm going to teach you now how you can begin that journey. I know that it feels sometimes like things are falling apart. 78% of people develop chronic illnesses in midlife, and I am aware of those challenges. I just turned 50, and I have a lot of chronic challenges with my body. I have been called a hot mess by occupational therapists. I have broken both my bones that have left me with permanent injuries. So I have had to learn this skill myself. I have also worked with some of the most high net worth people who I see that they are making it a priority to put themselves first, to heal their bodies and become the best version of themselves. So understand this is a skill that you can learn just like any other. You don't survive this chapter, you rewrite it. But here's the catch. There is a lot of information out there, and sometimes I call it noise because it's more information than we've ever had before, yet people are more confused than ever. You don't see a lot of clarity. We're drowning in advice, but very little of it is personalized, and we must find our personal equation that works just for us, and it's going to be different for everybody. What worked for us in our 20s and 30s, it might not work now. It probably won't. Hormones change, stress change, our life change, and things just get more layered. So if your old approach is not working, that is not a flaw. It's an invitation to evolve. That's where I can support you. After decades of working with every type of client you can imagine, with every type of health issue you can imagine, I've learned one thing for sure, and there is no one size fits all. Your lifestyle, your health issues, your family dynamics, your belief systems, your culture, all of those come into play in addition to your height, your weight, your goal weight. So I can help you cut through that noise. You cannot outsource your health. You cannot expect a meal plan or a 10-day detox to fit what took years to build. You need a blueprint built just for you. And personal responsibility, do not look at this as a burden. It is a return to your power. It's you picking up the knife, stepping into your kitchen, whether it's literal or metaphorically, and saying, I'm ready to create something better. So if self-healing is a skill, how do we learn it? This is what it takes to go from overwhelmed to empowered. The most important thing is to cut out the noise. And that means even the noise of medical professionals. They are there to help you, but you have to also understand they are coming from their lens of perception, and they see the worst of the worst. They do not see people who self-heal, because people who self-heal no longer go back to them. So they only see the problems. And so it's very important if a doctor tells you, you are the worst case we have ever seen, or this is not fixable, or you might never run again, which is what I was told at 18, then you must not listen to that, because truly the only person who decides is you. So understanding that self-healing is a skill, just like learning to cook or ride a bike or build something or color your own hair, whatever it is, you can learn it. I promise you. It just takes awareness and alignment. So start with the basics. Now, my 3 pillars of my program are food, activity, and mindset. If you have the right food, if you have the right activity, and you have the right mindset, you will glow and you will heal. So understanding that it really comes down to those 3 core factors. Now, eliminating toxic things in your life are very important. So making changes and being aware of what changes need to be made and listening to your intuition are at the forefront. But instead of making huge changes all at once, because that never works, it's really important to start with one thing at a time. So when it comes to food, instead of changing your whole diet all at once, swap one thing at a time. What is one habit that you need to change? That's what we need to work on. And changing those things one thing at a time are going to gradually lead you into the new person that you are meant to be. It's the same with movement. You don't want to jump into a huge new exercise plan because chances are that is going to set you up for frustration and failure. Skip the pressure. In fact, a lot of times in midlife, we need more gentle movement. We just need zone 2 or calisthenics. So understanding what you need and what you want to change is crucial. For example, if you want to, your middle area, you want to work on that, then it's going to be different than if you want stronger arms. So pick one thing to focus on, and you will see that it will lead you down the path of self-improvement and self-healing in midlife. I've spent 25 years working with just about every type of individual you can imagine. I've worked with professional athletes, single moms with cancer, high-performing CEOs, a variety of families, children with epilepsy. It has run the gamut, the clients I have had. And like I said previously, there is no one size fits all. They all do different things. Even people within a family have different plans that work best for them. That's why it's so important for you to find what works for you and understanding that this is not a static thing. What works for you now might not work for you in 5 years. And that is what self-healing is all about. It's an evolution. It's an invitation to understand your body, and it's an invitation to make changes. So don't be afraid to change your strategy. If your body is not responding the way that it used to, it is not failure. You are not broken. This is called feedback, and it's inviting adjustment. So you don't necessarily need motivation to self-heal or to lose weight in midlife. You need practice. And it becomes real when it stops being a theory and it starts being a rhythm in your life. And that is why finding what's in alignment is so important. And that is why finding your personal strategy is so important. It is so different for everybody. So I invite you that if this is something that you're struggling with, I can support you with this. And here's what's important to know, that when it comes to your strategy, it should not be rigid. It should not be centered around rules unless those rules work for you. You do not need to suffer through something that you don't like. In fact, most of the time, what I have seen is people are generally aligned with what they enjoy to be what is healthiest for them. So a lot of times people try things and because they are told they should do that and they can't do it. And once they realize this was not meant for me and they try a different way, things just fall into place. So it's really about not forcing and finding. And that can be a bit of a journey, but understanding that your food and your movement should reflect who you are as a person. For example, I am somebody who has a lot of chronic pain. And while I got results with heavy lifting, it wasn't necessarily something I enjoy. I prefer more calisthenics. I prefer zone 2. And that has been very effective for me. So let's be honest. If something is not working for you, you could just need to shift your strategy just a little bit. The most effective meal strategies are ones that feel like home, not punishment. And so it's not about restriction. It's about creative adaptation. That's what I bring to every client's plates, because when you like what you're eating, it supports your energy, it supports your digestion, it supports your goals, and you do not need willpower because you finally have alignment. So forget the rules. You don't need to suffer through things that you don't like. You just need to find what works for you. It's just the same with activity. As I just said, you can flip the script on exercise. If you hate your workout, it's probably not working because you're dreading it. In midlife, we know life is short and it's too short to be doing things that we hate. And so it's very important that your movement should feel like joy, not a punishment. So you can quit going to the gym if it's not supporting you, or if it is, then continue doing that. But maybe you want to do dance classes. Maybe you want to work in your garden. Maybe you want to stretch at night with soft music. It is truly about what you enjoy when it comes to your healthy lifestyle and self-healing. And that is really what I want to convey in this video, is that we do not have to suffer through things to be healthy in midlife. In fact, it is actually healthier and more effective to find what brings us joy. And science backs this. Again, 2023, a study found that joyful movement lowered stress 3 times more than forced exercise. And cortisol is something that can hold fat on us, and it can really cause us to struggle. So if our stress is lowered, we are going to release weight. That is why studies show that just sleeping more can actually help you lose weight, because your cortisol will be lowered. So it's about creating a connection to your movement in a way that reminds you that you can still be joyful, you can still have fun with your movement, and it doesn't have to be a punishment. Okay, now I'm going to talk about the third pillar of my strategy, and that is mindset. And it is the most important one, because if we don't have the right mindset, we will never be able to accomplish our goals. And mindset is something that is almost never talked about when it comes to health and wellness from a nutrition standpoint or an activity standpoint. However, it is crucial. So, a lot of my clients, they think, oh, that ship has sailed. I'm just going to be overweight now. Or this is an illness that I have to carry for the rest of my life. Or I'm lazy. And all of these things are actually inaccurate. They just require a shift in perception. And that is extremely powerful, because when we decide something, when we create a self-concept, it becomes our reality. And owning it and taking action are what is going to get us there. But if we don't have the right mindset, we will never be able to accomplish those goals. So midlife battles are not just about the body, they're about the story that we tell ourselves every day, and we can rewrite that story. Your thoughts are actually not facts. They're ingredients in the recipe of your life. And so we just need to learn how to shift them and give ourselves some grace and understand that we can change who we are. As I've said, I've had doctors tell me I'll never run again. They have told me I'm a hot mess. I literally had an occupational therapist call me a hot mess. And the worst thing I could do would be to adopt her opinion of me, because then I would be a hot mess in my body. But I know that's not the case. I know that there were just things that I needed to work on healing. There were parts of my body that needed attention, that they were getting too much use or getting too much stress. And in return, they needed more gentle healing. Maybe I needed to go to acupuncture. Maybe I needed to stretch. Maybe I needed to incorporate a supplement. Maybe I needed to stop doing some activity. But I was not a hot mess. I just needed to change things in my habits and my life. And it's the same with you. There are so many things that we can do to heal our bodies, and I can help you understand those changes that you need to make. But the first part of it is you deciding that it can be done, because if you don't decide, it will never happen. So if this sounds like something that you feel like you want to do and you feel open to and you feel excited for, I'm going to give you a blueprint on where to start and how to begin to make those changes on your own. The first thing you want to do is pick one thing that you want to change, or pick a small thing you want to focus on. Now, we could have a lot of things that we want to change, but it's good to start with one thing at a time. Our body is like an onion. We're going to always be peeling back layers, and there's always going to be things that we want to improve. but it starts with that one big thing. What is bothering you so much? Maybe it's 20 pounds that you want to lose. Maybe it's a bad habit, such as binge eating. Maybe you feel like you're not exercising enough. Maybe you have an injury that you want to heal. Maybe you want your hair to be more fuller. Whatever it is, it's important to pick one thing and gain awareness around that. So don't let other people's perceptions or beliefs come into play. You might not even want to tell anybody what you're doing, because sometimes when we tell people, they start to give their opinions, and then that can start to affect us. So just stay really focused on what that thing is that you want to change. Then I want you to audit around that thing. So if it's weight loss, you want to think about, okay, what am I doing every day that is contributing to this? What have I been eating that has been contributing to this? A lot of people think they're eating healthy. However, they don't have a personalized strategy. So they actually are not eating healthy for them. They're eating healthy for somebody else. So understanding where those changes need to be made are really important. You can just do this for a week or so and then start to make the changes. If it's activity, maybe you really don't enjoy the activity you're doing, or you're dreading it, and understanding that you can change that and find new activities you like are the first step. And then you want to be aware of how this is making you feel. So if you are making changes, assess, are they working or not? Do I need to shift this? If it's something that's working, you want to maybe implement it in your life long term, and it will start to help a lot more. That's it. It's not about being overwhelmed or making a huge overhaul. It's just about making small, steady shifts towards feeling better. Always choosing what makes you feel good and not choosing what feels like punishment. And understanding that healing is not linear, it's responsive. So treat it like an experiment. It is going to be something that you're going to be learning a lot about yourself, and it's going to give you so much information and feedback, but it's not going to be a straight line. It's going to be a kind of a openness to receive. And the beautiful thing is that when you start to prioritize your health, you will start to see changes all around your environment. It won't just be you. The people around you will change. People will treat you differently. You will start to reclaim your power, and you will become a living motivation for the people in your life. My clients will tell me all the time, my partner started walking with me just because I have looked so much happier and healthier. My kids started eating better because I have more healthy food in the house, and they see the changes that I am making. So it is truly about making a living example, but not only that, you are going to be walking into the best version of yourself. And now is the time, because if we don't do it in midlife, it is not going to get better. It's time for us to take our power back. It's time for us to make those changes. And it's time for us to fully embrace the best version of ourselves that we can be. Because if we do, we can live a very long, healthy, joyful life and be a shining example to the people around us, and have the generations after us follow our lead. So I hope that you have enjoyed this video and now understand that it is such a powerful thing to take back our health in midlife. But not only that, it's essential, and it's something that can be done, and it's a skill that we learn. And I've given you a lot of information, but I also hope that you understand that it is not about pushing, that it is really about coming back to yourself and finding what brings you joy and getting rid of the things that don't. If you want support with this, I love supporting people in their journey of self-healing, in their journey of weight loss in midlife. It is truly my passion. I have done it for myself, and I've done it for my clients for many years. But let me ask you this before we go. What is one small change that you can make today to reconnect to your body and begin to self-heal? Please leave that in the comments and sign up for one of my free calls if you would like. And until the next video, talk to you.